I've been reading John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And in the law of awareness, he talks about four areas that each person needs to become aware of in their own lives. He talks about becoming aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests or passions, and as well your opportunities. When he talks about becoming aware of your weaknesses, he emphasizes focusing on weaknesses that you have control over. As I've been reflecting upon that in my own life, I think back to an experience I had when I was 28 years old. Been married 4 years, been an assistant pastor in a congregation about the same length of time. And at 28, I was moved up to the lead pastor of my congregation with staff underneath me and as well in charge of working with the board that I was working with. It was an interesting period of time of life for me as I went into that transition. My wife and I had also decided to build our first home. It was an exciting time, having someone in our congregation help us walk us through the process. But we had an issue. We had a neighbor. And from the very start, that neighbor decided to dislike us in every way possible. I'll never forget the day after having our house completely built. We were walking around it. We had just closed on it. And my Labrador was walking right next to me, and in between the houses, my dog stepped in his yard. Sure enough, that neighbor came out, yelled and screamed at us, and told us we didn't need to live in the neighborhood. And that kind of started and continued throughout our entire experience. I'll never forget when I mowed the lawn, he used to come out and gave me some wonderful hand gestures, but he'd also make sure I mowed down straight and on my property, not touching his property at all. It got so bad that one Saturday morning I'm waking up and I heard a lot of noise in my backyard, and I went to the back patio area and looked out the sliding glass, and there were a number of men and women from my church who had such a compassion for me. They were actually building a fence around my backyard to create some privacy and some protection. We tried everything to win over that neighbor. We brought food over, we tried to apologize. We just tried to connect with him whatever way we could, but no matter what we did, there was nothing that would win him over to our side. I'll never forget the day, though. I used to drive around the back ways of my cul-de-sac so I could get my mail out of my mailbox on the driver's side. And for whatever reason, on this one particular day, my neighbor happened to be driving up at the same time. And as I was driving around the wrong way in the cul-de-sac to get to my mail out, he parked his car right in front of me. I looked at him in the eye and couldn't quite figure out what he was trying to do, so I backed my car up. After I got my mail and tried to go around him, he backed his car and moved in front of me. He did that 4 different times. I remember going into the house and I was absolutely exasperated, exhausted, and not knowing what in the world I was going to do with this neighbor that no matter what I did, disliked me. And all of a sudden the thought occurred to me, John, if you're going to lead an organization and you need everyone to like you, you're going to be one exhausted and frustrated individual. It was one of those moments I became aware of the weakness in my life of always needing to be liked. It's one of the things I know I need to work on in the weaknesses in my life, something I'm aware of. I'd be curious to know what you've become aware of in your life that you need to be cautious about and work on. Have a great weekend, and blessings to you.